When The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was originally released in 2011 on the Nintendo Wii, I missed the boat, but did play it several years later. However, I only did a few dungeons and then left it there, because it was a bit rough on the Wii, and I can't be arsed with all the motion controls and all that kind of nonsense. And it wasn't until the remaster for the Nintendo Switch that I hopped back onto the game. And the remaster does look a hell of a lot better and has implemented a control scheme that doesn't require you to flail around like a Magikarp at a rave, which is very much appreciated. But I'll get into the controls a little bit later. The story of Skyward Sword apparently takes place before the other entries in the series. I'll be honest, although I've played every Zelda game that's been coming out for the last 30 odd years, and basically I've treated every entry as a standalone adventure, I didn't really realise there's apparently some kind of convoluted throughout storyline. I don't know too much about that, so I'm not going to go more into it, but that is where this story takes place. Anyway, the story starts on the floating islands of Skyloft, where Link, Zelda and a load of other colourful characters live and just mooch about in their general day-to-day lives. People travel via loftwings, giant birds that can be called via whistling when you hop off one of the islands, if you've got that kind of death wish. Yet, I can't even get my own cat off my feet when I'm trying to go to the toilet. Privacy and cats do not go well together, evidently. Of course, as the usual, Zelda is captured and brought down to the abandoned surface world beneath the clouds, and that puts Link in the position he normally gets in, where he puts on the hero's clothes, grabs a sword and shield, you know, and that sword being the Master Sword, which is pretty cool. You get that one from the get-go, and then you hop on your Loftwing, head on down, and you go and save her. The usual spiel continues. There are dungeons, there are items to get, you know, like the slingshot and the bow and all other kinds of Zelda-esque stuff. However, what really lets this game down is the controls. Even though you don't have to use the motion controls, the controls themselves annoy the crap out of me. Where you flick the right thumbstick in the direction that you want the sword to go. It's not very responsive, and sometimes will do the opposite thing that you want it to do. So I ended up shouting at the TV a lot more than I wanted to be honest. You have to press a button to pull your sword out, but then you're obviously with flicking the thumbstick. However, when you want to move the camera, you have to hold the L button and then move the right thumbstick, and if you forget, instead of moving the camera, you'll draw out your sword, and you see my problem. It's just it's just fiddly, and although not difficult, it's just a pain in the dick. And everything else about the game I really like. I like the art style, I like the I like the general going through dungeons and trying to find Zelda and save her. I like there's metal boxes that you can find where if you hold the sword up to the sky, gaining energy from the light, I assume, and then you slash them, you'll send this box up into the open world air part where you fly around on your Loftwing and you unlock chests. And that's a pretty cool mechanic. There's also side quests that you can do, which again are really cool. There's a lot of activity in the game. There's a lot of cool characters. There's a lot of really good little stories in it. It's just the controls really do let this game down. Excuse me. It's a shame that they didn't do a little bit more on the development side, and I think it is really... Excuse me, again. Frog appears to be in my throat. But it appears that they put nowhere near enough energy into this port as they do some of their others, and it's a real shame, because I think if they'd have just focused a little bit more on making the controls solid for just people who don't want to use motion, the game would be a hell of a lot better. And it's a shame that we're not getting Wind Waker and Twilight Sword ports, because I don't want to have to fanny around with the Wii U to be able to play those games. I think they could very easily bring them over to the Switch, and unfortunately for Skyward Sword, those games are miles better than this. So unfortunately the score for Skyward Sword for me is a 6 out of 10. It's unfortunately just a above average Zelda game. But the controls just really drag this game down. But I just want to make this quick review talking about it. It's a game that's over 10 years old, so, you know, I didn't want to go too far in depth. There are a lot better YouTubers out there than me that can really break down the game. However, I just barely managed to bring myself to get through the game anyway. And it's not a terrible game, and I probably will pick it up again in the future and play it. But unfortunately, the controls just put me right off. And I know I've mentioned that so many times, but this is key, because controlling your character in the game is playing the game. So, you know, if they make that annoying, it's going to be difficult. But thank you very much for watching this review, and I shall catch you on the next one.